Hey guys, this is Algebra 2 and we are getting ready to start Chapter 5. We are going to skip over Chapter 4. We may come back to that toward the end of the year if we have some extra time. It's kind of just like an extra little fun chapter that we can leave out, and it's not going to affect our understanding of what we're doing here. So if we have some extra time at the end of the year, we will come back to that fourth chapter. But for right now, we are starting Chapter 5, and today we're going to look at Section 1, Multiplying Polynomials. Before we do that, let's take a look at our objectives and our biblical integration and correlation for this unit. Now, for this unit, our biblical correlation is this. It comes from 1 Corinthians 12:12, which says, "The body is a unit, though it is made up of many parts, and though all its parts are many, they form one body. So it is with Christ." Now, when we put that in terms of math, we know that when God created things, He didn't create things in isolation. He didn't make numbers in isolation, or addition in isolation, or subtraction in isolation. Each of these parts was meant to work together. And when we're solving problems in math, when we're talking about not only the problems in our book, but also real-world problems, oftentimes these problems don't just involve one skill. They involve a whole slew of skills, and we've got to be able to use each of these different skills or parts together. The same is true when we're talking about the different things that we study, history and English and science and math. It's all integrated, and we can use all of these skills together to help us solve problems. Our lesson objective for today is that you, the student, will multiply polynomials and use patterns to simplify special products of binomials. So we've got two things that we're really focusing on today: multiplying polynomials and using patterns. So those are the two things by the end of our lesson today you should have an understanding of. Let's review a couple of things first before we move into this new information. First of all, let's think back to what a function is. A function is a relation in which every element of the domain, every x value, is paired with one and only one element of the range, every y value. When we looked at this at the beginning of the year, we made these lovely function charts where we had x values over here, like x equals 3, 4, 5, and y values over here, like y equals 4, 5, 6, and we made sure that every element of our domain, or x value, had only one y value that it was paired with. We also looked at different graphs, and we used a vertical line test to see if they really were functions. So something that looks like this passes the vertical line test. It is a function, while something that looks like this does not pass the vertical line test. If I were to draw a vertical line through there, it would cross at 2 points. So it is not a function. So that's just a quick reminder of what a function is. And speaking of functions, we also need to remember what a term is. A term is a constant. Remember, a constant is just a number, like 3. A variable, like x, or the product or quotient of a constant and one or more variables. So 3x, or maybe the quotient, x divided by 3, or it says one or more variables. So maybe we might have 3xy, 2 variables. Each of those is an example of a term. And we know that when we're simplifying equations or expressions that we can combine like terms, as long as they have the same variable being raised to the same exponent. The degree of a term is the sum of the exponents in the term. So when we look at this term 3x, x is being raised to the first power here, so the degree of this term is just 1. Or if we had 3x squared, there we go, the degree of that term is squared. So to find the degree of a term, we want to find the sum of the exponents in that term. All right, a little bit more review about what a polynomial is. A polynomial is an expression that can be written as a sum of terms. Sum just means adding. Terms we just looked at. So it's a sum of terms consisting of constants, numbers, variables with non-negative exponents, or products of a constant and one or more such variables. So a polynomial might look like this: a sum of terms. So we might have 3x squared plus 4x minus 7. So we've got this expression that's a sum of terms. My terms have constants, they have variables. Notice that my exponent is not negative. It has 3x squared. If I had written 3x to the negative 2 power, that is no longer a polynomial. So we can't have those negative exponents here. But a polynomial is this sum of terms. Not quite done reviewing yet. A monomial, hopefully you can pick up on this one. Mono meaning one, is a polynomial with exactly one term. So let's say I had y equals 7. There we go. 7 is a monomial. Or 3x. That's a monomial. So polynomial with exactly one term is a monomial. All right, a little bit more review. When we talk about the degree of terms, we're talking about the term we add up the exponents. If you remember, we said 3x was a first degree term, 3x squared is a second degree term. We then can use that information to determine the degree of a polynomial. The degree of a polynomial is the degree of the highest degree term in a polynomial. So let's take this 3x squared and put minus for x minus 5. To determine the degree of the polynomial, we look at the highest degree term. Well, this is the highest degree term, and its degree is 2. Therefore, this polynomial is a second degree polynomial. What if we had 17x to the 4th minus 3x squared plus 7? What would the degree of that polynomial be? Well, the degree of the highest term is right here. And that becomes the degree of the polynomial. So this is a 4th degree polynomial. Now this should be reviewed from Algebra 1. If it's not reviewed, make sure you let me know and we can go over this a little bit more in class if you're still confused. All right, not quite done with that review. Earlier this year, we looked at a special type of polynomial function called a linear function. A linear function is just a first degree polynomial function whose graph is a line. That is that y equals mx plus b that we became so familiar with when we were graphing those lines. You can see that this is a first degree polynomial. Let's put some numbers with it, like y equals 2x plus 4. We know it's a first degree polynomial because the highest exponent here is 1. That's x to the first power. Right? And we know that if we were to graph this, it would be a line. Whether it's slanted up, as in this case, we could have a negative slope slanted down, or we could even have a straight horizontal line. But a linear function will always be a straight line, and it will always be a first degree polynomial. So now that all that review is under our belt, what's new? Well, in this chapter, we are going to be looking at quadratic equations, so you'll need to know what a quadratic function is. Now, the definition I'm giving you here is not the formal definition. We'll get to that later. But basically, what you need to know about a quadratic function is that it's a second degree polynomial, which means we're going to have that x squared term in there. It is a second degree polynomial function whose graph is a parabola. Parabola is this shape. So it's either going to be parabola facing up or parabola opening down. But a quadratic function is a second degree polynomial whose graph is a parabola. That's the important information that you need to know right now. We'll get into that in more detail a little bit later. All right, back to some review. Hopefully you remember how to add polynomials and how to subtract those polynomials. When we're adding and subtracting polynomials, we're just going to combine our like terms. So here we can combine 3x squared and x squared. We can combine negative x and positive 4x, and we can combine 17 and 5. Okay, try that on your own, see if you can figure out how to combine that. You should get, if you want to pause your video and come back, you should get 4x squared. Negative x and a positive 4x becomes positive 3x. And a positive 17 and a positive 5 becomes positive 22. So we've added those two polynomials by combining like terms. You can also subtract polynomials as well. 5x plus 3 minus 2x plus 1. There are a couple of different ways that you can do this, but I'm going to go ahead and write it like a subtraction problem here. keeping my parentheses. And let's start with 5x minus 2x. Well, 5x minus 2x is 3x. And 3 minus positive 1, 3 minus 1 is 2. Right? So we know that we can add and subtract polynomials, and today we're going to look at multiplying polynomials. That was the first part of our objective. The distributive property is used to multiply a monomial and polynomials. Let's take a look here. We've got a monomial, one term here, one number, one constant, and we are multiplying that by a polynomial. We've got two terms here. And we're going to use the distributive property to multiply that monomial times that polynomial. And when we do so, we get 3 times x, trying to move forward here, and 3 times positive 2, which gives us 3x plus 6. The FOIL acronym is a helpful acronym that can be used to remember how to multiply two binomials. Let's take a look at that. So we've got binomials or polynomials with two terms. So this has two terms and this has two terms. And we can multiply this a couple of different ways, but the FOIL acronym can help us. We can take the first terms multiplied by each other. So x times x gives us x squared. O stands for outside, so the two terms on the outside, x and negative 2. Which gives us negative 2x. I stands for inside, so our two inside terms, positive 3 and positive x, gives us 3x. And L stands for our last terms, 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6. So first, outer, inner, last. FOIL can help you remember how to distribute those terms. We then combine our like terms, negative 2x and positive 3x, and simplify, which gets us to x squared plus x minus 6. When multiplying polynomials that have more than two terms, a vertical multiplication format can help. Some people prefer this format. So let's take a look at this example. We have a binomial and a trinomial, two terms times three terms. We're going to write our trinomial on the top and our binomial underneath, lining up those like terms, our a terms and our constant terms. And just like standard multiplication, then we're going to start with our last term here, this negative 2, and multiply it by each of the terms above it, which looks like this. Negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14. Negative 2 times 4a is negative 8a. And negative 2 times 9a squared is 18. Negative 18a squared. Okay, we then move on to our second term here. And this is an a term, so we've got to start here underneath our existing a term. And we get 6a times negative 7 is negative 42a. 6a times 4a is positive 24a squared. And 6a times 9a squared is 54a cubed. Once we've multiplied everything, we'll then combine our like terms. 14 plus 0 is 14. Negative 8a and negative 42a is negative 50a. Negative 18a squared plus 24a squared is 6a squared. And 54a cubed plus 0 is just 54a cubed. So we have finished with that example, multiplying that binomial times that trinomial. Again, you can FOIL or you can use this stacked alignment to help you multiply. The distributive property can be used repeatedly to multiply polynomials if you don't like that previous example. So we can take 2x times each of these terms here, 2x times this, and 2x times this, and 2x times this, and then take negative 5x times this, and negative 5x times this, or sorry, that's just a 5, negative 5 times this, negative 5 times x, and negative 5 times negative 4, and then combine like terms. So you can see we've got 2x times our polynomial, and negative 5 times this polynomial. When we multiply everything out, we get 6x cubed plus 2x squared minus 8x, and negative 15x squared minus 5x plus 20. Combining our like terms gives us this result. All right, guys, I'm running out of time, so we will have to continue our other examples in part 2 of this video.